Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a tool that pretty much came out of nowhere and completely changed the game for building software. It's called Cursor, and we're going to unpack how this AI-powered code editor went from a weekend project to one of the most talked about tools in tech. So just a couple of years ago, this tool, Cursor, it just exploded onto the scene. And the numbers behind its growth, well, they're absolutely staggering. This wasn't just another neat little app for developers, it was a full-blown phenomenon. All right, get this. By late 2025, the company was valued at nearly $30 billion. To put that into perspective for you, that's more than household names like Dropbox or Lyft were worth at their peak. It was a massive signal that something really, really big was happening here. And it wasn't just paper money either. The revenue completely backed up the hype. By early 2026, it was on track for an incredible $2 billion in annual recurring revenue. That's just wild. You know, this wasn't just investors throwing money around. This was about real people using the tool. We're talking over 1 million developers firing up Cursor every single day to build, to debug, and to ship their code. It even sparked this viral sensation called vibe coding. It was this idea that the line between a thought and actual working software had just vanished. You saw these videos online of people, even kids, building whole apps just by talking to the computer in plain English. So what is this thing? How on earth did it capture the minds of so many developers so incredibly fast that it became one of the fastest growing software companies in history? Okay, to really get what makes Cursor so powerful, you have to look under the hood. It all comes down to one single really radical decision. See, it's not about a feature they added on top. It's about how they built the entire thing from the ground up. So, you know popular tools like GitHub Copilot, right? They work as extensions, like little plugins you add to your existing code editor. But Cursor's founders, they took a much bolder path. They forked the entire Visual Studio Code editor. Basically, they copied the whole blueprint and built their own version from scratch. And that approach is what makes Cursor AI native. The AI isn't just a backseat driver giving you suggestions. No, it's part of the car's engine. It has direct access to everything, all your files, your computer's terminal, the entire developer environment. Now, because the AI is so deeply integrated, it can do some incredibly powerful things. For example, in what they call agent mode, the AI can understand your entire project, make complex changes across, say, dozens of files all at once, and, get this, it can even run tests on its own code to find and fix its own mistakes, automatically. So this AI native foundation, it enables this whole suite of features that go way beyond just simple autocomplete. You get that autonomous agent mode, a custom AI model that's trained for these complex tasks, and you even have the flexibility to swap in other powerful AIs from companies like OpenAI or Anthropic whenever you want. But look, a great product isn't always enough, right? Cursor's growth strategy was just as innovative as its tech. They managed to scale to a $100 million business without hiring a single salesperson. Think about that. I mean, their revenue growth was a hockey stick. It was almost vertical. As you can see, they just blew past these huge milestones, like $1 billion in annual revenue, in just a few months. So how'd they do it? Well, their playbook was brilliant. First, they built on top of VS Code, which every developer already knows and loves, so there was no learning curve. Second, they had a super generous free version that created all these viral wow moments online. And finally, they nurtured this passionate community of early users who basically became their marketing team. But of course, that meteoric rise wasn't the whole story. That incredible speed came at a price, and pretty soon the cracks started to show. And the very community that helped build it up, well, they started to raise the alarm. By the middle of 2025, you started seeing these posts everywhere. The developer community was frustrated. The tool that was famous for being lightning fast had become sluggish, and people felt like the company just wasn't being transparent with them. And it turns out this wasn't just a feeling, you know? It wasn't just a few people complaining online. Independent academic research actually started to put hard numbers to these concerns, and it revealed a hidden cost to all that AI-powered speed. A study from Carnegie Mellon found this fascinating trade-off. They saw that while Cursor gave developers this massive 281% spike in how much code they could write, it also led to a 41% increase in how complex that code was over the long run. So, in other words, the tool helps you write code way, way faster right at the start.
But that same code can become a real headache later on. It's harder to read, harder to fix, and just harder to maintain down the line.
And that brings us to the big question, right? With these trade-offs being so real, is a tool like Cursor actually worth it? The thing is, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. It's really about making a strategic choice for yourself.
So the choice isn't about which tool is better. It's about which one fits what you need. If your number one goal is just raw speed and you want to be on the bleeding edge with the latest AI models, yeah, Cursor probably has the advantage. But if you value things like stability, or you need it to work with lots of other tools, or you have strict enterprise rules to follow, then something like GitHub Copilot is often the safer bet. And this is a choice that more and more developers are making every single day. The latest data shows that over half of all professional developers are now using AI tools in their daily work, and another third are planning to jump in soon. This wave is here.
And what this all really points to is a fundamental shift in what it even means to be a developer. The job is becoming less about typing out code line by line and more about being a supervisor, directing these autonomous AI agents to do the work for you. Which leaves us with a pretty big final thought. As these tools, like Cursor, get even more powerful, is the next generation of developers even going to write code? Or will their job just be to direct it? The very definition of programming is changing right in front of our eyes.